But Lohse refers to a line from the Gospel of Nicodemus. I'm going to read what Lohse refers to, and then I'm actually going to read a part of chapter 18 of the Gospel of Nicodemus, because I went online and it's free, and if you just Google it, you can bring it up and read it. But Lohse refers to, again, this dialogue between Hades and Satan. And Hades asks Satan, "Through what necessity did you contrive that the King of Glory should be crucified, so that he should come here and strip us naked?" So again, that's the idea of what Paul said, that if these rulers had understood the wisdom of God and what the cross was about, they never would have killed Jesus. So as I said, now I'm going to read a section of chapter 18 from the Gospel of Nicodemus. Now I know this is not an inspired text, but it's a very interesting writing from early Christianity, and it just shows what some of the early Christians believed and how they interpreted what Paul was saying. So if you're familiar again with the book of 1st Enoch, how the book of 1st Enoch, while not inspired, gives an expanded explanation of Genesis 6. So the Gospel of Nicodemus similarly gives an expanded interpretation of some of what Paul said about, the powers didn't know what they were doing. If they had, they would not have killed Jesus. And the free version of the Gospel of Nicodemus is rather old, so it's translated into the King James style of English, so just have to bear with that. But I'm going to read again a section from chapter 18, and it says, and this is after Jesus showed up to liberate the faithful saints that were in the underworld before his resurrection, between his crucifixion and resurrection. And it says, "Then the prince of hell took Satan, and with great indignation said to him, O thou prince of destruction, author of Beelzebub's defeat and banishment, the scorn of God's angels and loathed by all righteous persons, what inclined thee to act thus? Thou wouldst crucify the King of Glory, and by his destruction hast made us promises of very large advantages. But as a fool were ignorant of what thou wast doing." So let me break in here, and what that line, just to maybe make it a little bit easier to understand, what that line is saying is that, again, this is the Prince of Hell kind of chastising Satan. And I'm not going to debate the theology of all that, because again, it's just kind of the story of as it was written down here. But he's saying basically, Satan, you wanted to crucify the King of Glory, and you made us these great promises and advantages of what would happen if you did that, but you were ignorant of what was happening. So that's basically what the Prince of Hell is accusing Satan of here. So it goes on to say, "For behold, now that Jesus of Nazareth, with the brightness of his glorious divinity, puts to flight all the horrid powers of darkness and death, he has broke down our prisons from top to bottom, dismissed all the captives, released all who were bound, and all who were wont formerly to groan under the weight of their torments have now insulted us, and we are like to be defeated by their prayers. O Prince Satan, thou great keeper of the infernal regions, all thy advantages which thou didst acquire by the forbidden tree, and the loss of paradise, thou hast now lost by the wood of the cross. And thy happiness all then expired, when thou didst crucify Jesus Christ, the King of Glory. Thou hast acted against thine own interest and mine, and thou wilt presently perceive by those large torments and infinite punishments which thou art about to suffer." End quote. And that's the end of the section in the Gospel of Nicodemus that I wanted to read. It's very interesting there that after this is presented in the way again of after Jesus died, that's when the powers of darkness realized really what they had done, and that all the work they had done to deceive men through, again, it calls it the forbidden tree, was undone by the wood of the cross. So one tree brought death when it was eaten from, and one tree, as Paul calls the cross, the tree, says Christ was hung on a tree, that brings life for all those who partake of Christ. So I thought that chapter in the Gospel of Nicodemus was very interesting. I just wanted to share that because it's directly related to what we're talking about here, a view of the at least from the early Christian period of history.